All right, let's kick it up a notch. So this problem actually looks very similar to the problems that you did before, but you'll see the change as we get into it. I just want to, of course, every time I start one of these problems, say, what do I have to worry about for a zero denominator? So I know in the end, if I get x is equal to -4 as an answer, I got to throw it out. It's extraneous because I can't plug -4 into this equation. I would get zero denominators. So our first step is the same as before. I've got to find a common denominator, and it looks like I just have families here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply every one of these terms by that common denominator of x plus 4, and that's going to clear it from this term, that's going to clear it from this term as well. So, okay, I'm going to multiply this x by x plus 4. I'm okay with this. And then I've got this family, I'm going to multiply by x plus 4. And then I've got this term that I'm going to multiply by x plus 4. So again, the reason that this works is because I have changed every single term in the exact same way. So what's going to happen with this term? Well, I'm just going to distribute the x through. X squared plus 4x. When I move over here, this x plus 4 cancels that x plus 4. And I have minus, see how I put parentheses around there? That's a family, don't forget that. So let's just distribute it through right now. Negative times 3x is negative 3x. And then -1 times a 5 is a -5. Equals, and these two are going to cancel. Now, notice what's different here. In the last two examples, we did not have anything squared. We just ended up with an x to the first power left. So whenever we see something squared, we've got to be thinking, oh boy, we get to factor again. Woohoo! So I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to 0 because I know when I have an x squared, I remember I'm going to have to probably factor using this situation here. All right? So that's what makes these problems just a little bit different. So I would have x squared. I'm going to combine these two. 4x minus 3x is 1x. And if I subtract 7 from both sides, it would be x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. All right, so there's my trinomial. That's different from what we did before. All right, so what times what gives me x squared? What times what gives me 12? I'm going to always start with the two that are closest together. This gives me 4x. This gives me 3x. Ooh, I feel like we're onto something. Middle term's got to be positive. So these two together would add up to give me positive 1x. So this is a plus, and this is a minus. So this factors as x minus 3 times x plus 4. So my values of x, if I were to solve it, remember you set each of these factors equal to 0. So what would make this a 0? X is equal to positive 3. And what would make this a 0? X is equal to -4. So either of these would be solutions. So I'm going to circle it for a second, and then we're going to look. Okay, let's look back at our original statement up here. We said x cannot be equal to -4 because if it was -4 and I plugged that back into this equation to say check my work, see if I'm right, that gives me a 0 denominator. So this one is extraneous. All right, even though we've done all the algebra correctly, it turns out that not every answer is going to work because of that division by 0 problem with this type of equation. All right, we're going to do that again. It's up to you if you want to just have me talk you through it again, or if you want to hit pause right now and try it and then fast forward to the answer and see whether or not you agree with the answer that I got. So I'm going to give myself a little note over here. X cannot be equal to -7 because if x were -7, we'd get 0 denominators, and you can't do that. So x, I should have done it up here too, sorry. X cannot be equal to -7. That's early, kids, sorry. So what I do is I find the common denominator. This is the common denominator, x plus 7. So I'm going to multiply everything through by x plus 7. Remember what that does? That clears the fractions. But if I skip something, like if I did not multiply this term by x plus 7, it will not work. We will not get the right answer here. So it's really important that you remember to multiply everything by that x plus 7. Okay, here we go. This gives me x squared plus 7x for the first term. These cancel. That was our goal. Minus 7 equals, these cancel, x. Because I have an x squared, that lets me know whenever I see this, oh Lord, I'm going to have to factor. So I need to set it equal to 0 because that's what we did to factor. So if I subtract x from both sides, I get x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, I'm going to go over here and factor. What times what gives me x squared? X times x. What times what gives me 7? 7 times 1. That gives me 1x and 7x. Can I make a 6? Ooh, I can if this were a subtract. X minus 1 times x plus 7. Let me just check the last term real quick. 7 times negative 1. Yep, I'm good. So this factors as x plus 7 times x minus 1. And then to find the solutions, we have to find out what makes, it's called the zero product property, what makes this a 0 if x is equal to negative 7, or if x is equal to 1. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to circle my answer, and then I'm going to do a double check with what we set up here. Uh-oh. Can't be this one. This one is extraneous. So even though I've done all the algebra correctly, I can never have a division by 0. All right, go do a couple more problems.